Well, hello everybody. We just finished recording this week's webinar, and so I already watched this, so you're about to watch it. So this is the intro to it. So we talked about the basics of type 2 today, and Dr. Saunders joined us and answered a lot of different good questions. As always, we had a great turnout. We didn't even get to all the questions. So that's one thing just to let you guys know. If you're joining us live and you don't get your questions answered, just watch more of our webinars that are on the YouTube channel. So bartonwebinar.com is the website to visit. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably already know what our YouTube channel is, but hit that subscribe button and you can like our videos and comment. We read those, and you can ask questions as well. But this webinar is for you. This is for Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition customers to come and get their questions answered and to learn about the basics of type 2 diabetes and how to get your blood sugar numbers under control using your diet and exercise and nutritional supplements and stress reduction and all sorts of things. So what we talk about is covered in the diabetes solution kit, but these webinars add to this, like it makes this come alive. So this, has all sorts of good information in it and recipes, but this webinar is for you to participate, join our community, experience that extra layer of help that most people aren't going to be giving you. And so I hope you find this valuable. And again, visit us at bartonwebinar.com. If you don't have a copy of the Diabetes Solution Kit, you can get it there. And we give you a coupon code later in this webinar. So watch the webinar, enjoy, and we will see you live. If you want to register for this and join us live, you can get your questions answered as well. So, all right, without further ado, let's get started on this week's episode. Good morning.
The session's in session.
Session is in session. How you doing today, Dr. Saunders?
Great. How are you?
Good. Are you in your usual Thursday spot?
Yeah. I'm in my new office.
You have an escape hatch in the ceiling there in case you need to.
I know. You don't notice those things until you see them in the screen.
Right. All right. Well, people are hopping on here. We've got a lot of people. So welcome, everybody. Happy beginning of the Masters Golf Tournament Day, April 8th. And happy my youngest son's birthday also. And happy, it just feels like spring is finally here, other than it's raining outside and I can't go golfing after this. But, I just thought I would tie in the game of golf a little bit with my intro today. When you compare type 2 diabetes with golf, there's some similarities. Now, work with me on this, but you're trying to get lower scores, right? You don't want to shoot big scores. So you take your blood sugar, and, if you're hitting 180, 200, 300, 800, like, you've had a bad day, and, sometimes you just feel like mailing it in and quitting, the game. Like in golf, if you go out and you shoot a quadruple bogey, if you shank one into the woods or into the lake, and you feel like throwing your club into the lake after the ball went into the lake,
which I've been known to do on occasion,
which Dr. Saunders may have done once or twice in his life. Can't say I haven't myself. But, we're going to talk about how do we shoot lower scores? How do we shoot lower blood sugar scores? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Tying that in with the Diabetes Solution Kit, which most of you already have a copy of. So, hey, we got a new back cover. I just wanted to show this off a little bit, but it shows off a few of the other reports that we've published over the years. So if you just got if you just bought this, you'll be getting this in the mail and you get to see the new cover. And we also have, hey, look at that, an invitation to the webinar that you're on right now with that handsome smiling doctor right there, Dr. Saunders. So, well, we are happy to have you joining us today. This is the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. I'm Joe Barton with Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition. We have Leslie Prinz also with us running the controls and answering or getting questions answered and all that good stuff. As Chris Boardman, our favorite shark fishing webinar viewer, likes to call her, the star of the show. So
paid him a lot of money to say that.
And Dr. Saunders calling in. As always, I think we're on episode 85 now of this webinar. So this is fantastic. It's a way for us to connect with our customers, our community, to answer questions. And so that's, we'd love to have you just, enter in on the chat, say hello, tell us how you're doing, where you're calling from. And Leslie, you got a random question we could ask him to answer? How about I got one? Tell us if you are an avid golfer or if you've never golfed or I don't know. Tell us something about golf. So if you play regularly, if you never play, if you wish you could play more, I don't know. I'm just excited about the Masters tournament. It means the summer is getting going here. So,
and fun fact, my husband used to teach golf lessons for many, many years. So our family, actually everyone in my family is a better golfer than I am, including my children who are 11 and 9. They can golf a lot better than I am. I enjoy golf, but I have this really hard time with going and playing if I haven't practiced. It's hard for me to enjoy it if I'm not really good. So it can be frustrating for me. So I'm going to work on that.
Probably not one to enjoy taking lessons from your husband.
It's okay. But typically what happens is I don't actually do lessons with him. He'll typically say, let's go golf. So then we'll actually go and golf. And it's kind of hard to get lessons while you're golfing, because we typically have 2 kids with us. And so that doesn't work out that well, but I still enjoy it. Well,
good. Yeah. My wife and kids don't like me trying to give them golf tips. So, hey, that's fine. If they don't want to be, amazing golfers, I won't tell them how to do it. So, so bartonwebinar.com is the website. If you're joining us on YouTube, you can go register and join us live on Zoom. And each week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time, we hop on here with Dr. Saunders and we talk about reversing type 2 and all the questions that come with that. And Dr. Saunders usually has new research, new tips, new ideas, new thoughts, new stories, new lessons to share with us. And so, Dr. Saunders, we're going to turn things over to you. And let's get into the basics of type 2 and then, however you want to lead us. Let's go forth.
Okay, so the basics. Every other week, we look at the basics of what is type 2 and why do I have it and how did I get it and what can I do about it. In every case, when you're looking at something like a problem, it's important to know how that problem came about, what is the problem? And then once you know what the problem is, then what to do about it just kind of comes naturally. You go, oh, I can fix that by reversing what I did to create the problem. All too often, what we're taught in medical school is, oh, it's okay. You can eat whatever you want. It's no big deal. That your diet doesn't matter. Even with type 1 diabetes, type 2, we're told the same thing, that it's pretty much irrelevant what you eat. That what's really important is that you take your medications. Well, in doing some research on these medications, what I found was that those who took medications and had better numbers, better blood pressure, better cholesterol, better hemoglobin A1C, if they were taking medications, they still had 12% more problems, more amputations, more blindness, more renal failure, more dialysis. So 12% more complications. And we're not talking about 1 or 2%. It's, a significant amount of more complications of people taking medications for type 2 who even though they have their numbers better, so their doctors are going, oh boy, your hemoglobin A1C has come down, your blood pressure's down, and your cholesterol's down. And what you don't know is that you're increasing your risk for having complications. That's according to the UKPDS, the United Kingdom Diabetes Study. And it's a very large study with thousands of people. So what does that tell us? That tells us that those medications are not dealing with the problem, that in fact, they make the problem worse. How is that? Well, most of the medications increase your insulin output. So they tell your pancreas to make more insulin, or very often insulin is given as an injection, and people are taking extra insulin when they have type 2. They have insulin resistance, they're hyperinsulinemic, and then they add insulin on top of that. So what is that going to do? Well, it's going to make it worse. You can totally expect that. You know that's what's going to happen, because the problem with the complications doesn't come because the blood sugar's high. The problem comes because the insulin is high. So people with normal insulin levels and high blood sugar, they don't get the complications that people with high insulin levels do. So it's really important that what you're doing is the right thing to fix the problem. So let's look at that. Why does it happen? Why does type 2 happen? Some people are easily resistant to insulin. Some people have stress resistance to insulin. And it's really not just about what they eat, but for example, I have told several times on this webinar about the one case, just because it was so dramatic, of a woman that had diabetes until her daughter moved out of the house. When her daughter moved out, instead of fighting all the time, they became great friends. They're like, hi, Mom, how you doing? They're all best friends now. And her blood sugar went from like uncontrollable down to normal with no medication. So she was uncontrollable on a ton of medications and then normal on no medications. And it was really just all stress induced. So you can have that kind of thing. So look at that. Look at yourself and say, am I having this problem because I have excessive stress? And then the other things you can do is look at other causes. Of course, by far, the cause is too much. Too much of what? Too much food, generally. And there's 3 things to consider in food: what you eat, when you eat, and how much you eat. So if we look at what you eat, then having too much food generally, and that includes especially things that are processed, carbohydrates and fats. So, if you're eating French fries, is that processed? Well, the French fry is just a potato cut, right? So that's not processed, but the oils that are used are hydrogenated oils, and they are processed, and they are really bad for you, and they cause insulin resistance, and they make it worse. So that combination of having a high fat, high carb, something, especially like fried foods, if you take that burrito, that's okay, the beans and all that. Then you dip it in oil and fry it, right? It's a chimichanga. Now, all of a sudden, it is something that'll make you insulin resistant. So having the combination of food. So what you eat is very important. If you eat a ton of sugar, but it's all fruit and vegetables, then, and you're not having any fat with it at all, it's very unlikely you're going to get diabetes. Of course, some people who are very sensitive to that can, but most people won't. It's the combination that causes it. So the other one is a high fat diet. If you're having a lot of fat, that can make you insulin resistant too. But the mixture is the worst when you have the fat with the carbs. So that's what you eat is really big. So if that's the reason why you have diabetes or type 2, then it's really simple. You go, oh, well, I have type 2 because just love fried foods and candy. You know, what is candy? It's always fat and sugar, right? There's like, well, not always. Hard candies don't have a lot of fat, but you know, like caramels and chocolates, and it's almost always fat and sugar. And then sweet things like donuts and Danish pastries and all that stuff, that's all fat and sugar. You know, it's really funny. When I was a kid, my mom we would never had ice cream in the freezer. We never had any sugar. She was like, Adele Davis, you know, no sugar in the house, done. And she watched Jack LaLanne, and Jack LaLanne said, no sugar in the house. It's poison. And so my mom would say, it's poison, don't eat it. And so, but I liked sugar. So if I saw candy melting into the sidewalk half eaten, I would scrape it up and eat it. You know, I was that kind of kid. I just craved sugar, and I always wanted a Pop-Tart, and I never got any Pop-Tarts. So one day we were at a camp out, and somebody brought a Pop-Tart, and I'm looking at it going, oh, that looks really good. And I took a bite of it, and it was awful. I couldn't stand it. I didn't like it at all. So, but you know, what's a Pop-Tart? It's sugar and fat. That's essentially all it is, you know. So being careful of how you mix your foods may be one thing you should consider, but also consider the fact that, you know, having a high carbohydrate diet, sugars and starches, is going to raise your blood sugar, and then having high fat makes you insulin resistant. So that's a terrible combination. Okay, so that's the number one. That's the what you eat. The second is when you eat. So what's really interesting is that our bodies repair at night if we have an empty stomach. So you've heard of the 610 reset, and that's just one of our little side things on the Barton webinar, that you can learn about how to reset your system to repair every night when you sleep by going to bed early, like 10 o'clock, with an empty stomach. So if you don't eat at night, skipping dinner is really good. People, when they wake up, they get a lot of adrenaline and cortisol, and they don't feel hungry very often. So people skip breakfast, and then they eat a whole bunch at night before they go to bed. And then they go to bed with a full stomach. They have trouble eating. They get acid reflux. They don't sleep as well. I can't tell you how many people I have had tell me, when I tell them, okay, let's switch your intermittent fasting to the morning, where you eat breakfast and lunch and skip dinner. And so many people have come back and said, oh my gosh, I sleep all night now. I feel better. I wake up rested. I feel better. So they sleep better at night because they don't have a full stomach. Because you get deep sleep when you have an empty stomach. So your stage 3 sleep is the deep sleep, is much improved when your stomach is empty. So when you eat is actually really important. In fact, if people who are like overweight and obese just eat breakfast and lunch and don't change anything except eating breakfast and lunch, even if they eat the same number of calories they were eating before, if they just eat breakfast and lunch and stop eating in the afternoon and evening, they will lose weight, and they will feel better, and they will improve, and their diabetes will go down, and their blood sugar will improve. So when you eat is actually really important as well, by eating in the morning and not eating at night. So then the third thing is how much you eat. And of course, this is an issue. If you eat a ton, then you're going to weigh a ton. What we are told is wrong about food and exercise. We are told that we can exercise the fat away, right? That we can go out and book it and run and run off our fat, burn it, right? Burn it all off. You've watched The Biggest Loser, And the biggest loser, they've got the physical therapists on there just whipping the guys on the little bicycles. They're going, and they're, come on, you idiot, go faster. You're never going to lose weight at this rate. But if you've ever gotten on one of those bikes that tells you how many calories you're burning, you would be really impressed to know that it takes so much effort to burn just a few calories. One time I was in a CrossFit class, and the instructor, the coach, said, go over to that rowing machine and row 100 calories. And I'm like, 100 calories, that's nothing. I'll do that in 1 minute. And so I get on the rowing machine, and I'm pulling, I'm going, counting. After 1 minute, I've burned a couple of calories. I'm like, what? What is this? It's going to take me a year to get to 100 calories. It's really hard. In fact, if you weigh about 160 pounds, it takes running a full marathon to burn 1 pound of fat. And how long does it take to put on that fat? It's pretty easy to put that 1 pound of fat back on. And it's really hard to get it off by running. So that was just kind of a side thing of how much you eat. The point that I'm making is the food we eat determines how much fat we have on our body. It's all about food. And the exercise we do determines how much muscle we have on your body. So if you want more muscle, exercise, and that's really good for you and really important, and helps you be more sensitive to your insulin, and helps prevent the complications of diabetes like neuropathy, kidney disease, Alzheimer's disease. So you can stop these things from happening, and exercise is a good part of that. But don't think you're going to lose weight by exercising and not changing how much you eat. So that's a big thing too. How much you eat is really important. If you're eating a very high fiber diet, you can eat a lot more. So if you're having carrots and broccoli and lettuce and celery and all that stuff, then there's a program for reversing multiple sclerosis. And the doctor that wrote it actually reversed her own multiple sclerosis. And on her program, she requires 9 cups of vegetables a day. And that's in addition to, the fish once a week and the liver once a week and the other things. So if you think of 9 cups, that's a lot, that's a ton. No, it's not a ton, but it's a lot. So you can eat a lot if it's really high fiber stuff. But most of the things that we have that we like are very concentrated calories with very little fiber. So meat, for example, pure calories, no fiber. Pizza, pure calories, no fiber. Burrito, pure calories, very little fiber with the beans, but all the meat and everything else in it is very little fiber. So how much you eat can change depending on what you're eating. So if you're eating concentrated calories like cheese and meat and grains, breads and cereals, then very tiny amounts are adequate. Whereas if you're eating fruit and vegetables, you can eat much larger amounts because the amount of calories is much less. It's more fiber. So the ideal human diet is high in fiber, and then you can eat pretty much as you want. One time I was sitting there eating a salad in the bowl. It was a big bowl, and everybody else left the table, and I still have like half my salad left. And after a while, I told my wife, "You know what? I know why people lose weight eating salad. It's because you get just tired of eating, and you're just done. Forget it. I'm tired of chewing." Because you can eat as much as you want if that's what you're eating. So,
can I ask a related question quick, or
Sure.
do you want to finish quick?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so I was talking to one of our friends about the vegan diet, and one of the concerns with that is, I think, not getting enough protein and also some of the B vitamins and some other things. And you've been doing vegan this year, so like, how do you like, how do you get that protein, or is that important, or are you focused more on the fiber side of it, and how do you recommend, if someone is going to go vegan? I know we had a whole episode on vegan, but how do you stay healthy if you're just eating all those vegetables, basically?
Yeah, living on fruits and vegetables is a little difficult because you kind of eat a lot more. You eat more frequently, and the other thing that I avoid though is like starches, processed foods, candies, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't eat sweets and I don't eat processed foods, and that's kind of an important part of it. But if you look just like at protein, there is plenty of protein in food. You can't avoid the protein. If you're eating, like, let's say broccoli has more protein than milk, and people think, oh, I have to drink the milk for the protein. No, you can eat broccoli, and I'll eat a whole bag of broccoli in an afternoon. Those bags are pre-cut, pre-washed. I don't always buy that, but those are easy to carry around. But not just broccoli, but all the foods, everything has protein in it. So you can't avoid the protein. And there's always some fats in it too. But as long as it's not high fat. So the other issue is like B vitamins, and it's primarily vitamin B12. Vegan societies that would grow food and didn't eat animals would often not have enough vitamin B12 unless they fertilized their fields with dung, because the dung contains a lot of vitamin B12. So then the plants would have, they don't make vitamin B12, only bacteria make vitamin B12. And that what's really interesting is we make enough vitamin B12 in our intestines. But it's too late to absorb it. It's kind of weird the way things work. So the gut bacteria do. Well, the animals, the gut bacteria make it too. So when they dung their fields, then they're putting vitamin B12 on their food. So what I do is I take a supplement. I just take a weekly supplement, and it's a pretty high dose. And it's not just B12; it's all the B vitamins with other things too. Yeah, deficiency disease was pretty common. Doctors, those were the main things doctors saw back in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. Those kinds of things. Until vitamins were discovered, people didn't know why they were getting beriberi and scurvy and rickets, all those deficiency diseases. So the doctors had all kinds of weird cures for them. Scurvy is a vitamin C deficiency, and you can cure it in one day with one pill now. One pill, but on top of 1,000 milligrams vitamin C, cure your scurvy, right? No problem. Well, in those days, they would bury people up to their necks in hot sand because their blood vessels were breaking, and their blood was leaking out, and internally. And their joints were falling apart, their teeth were falling out, and they were bleeding internally and had all these issues. So the doctors would bury them up to their neck in hot sand. They would give them mercury poisoning. They would give them arsenic. They had an incredible alcohol treatments of various kinds for deficiencies. We don't see those now because we understand a lot more about nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things with the vegan diet is like you can eat M&Ms and be well, maybe not M&Ms. There might be some, but you can eat like Jolly Ranchers and sugar and all that kind of stuff. So but if you're I had
a vegan. I asked him, so what do you eat? And he mentioned a few things. Oh, I eat cereal and let's see. Cold cereal for breakfast with almond milk, right? Because it's vegan. White rice, pasta. And I'm like, well, what about vegetables? He goes, oh, I don't like vegetables. I'm like, wait, you're vegan. You have to eat vegetables. And he's like, I'm like, he wasn't vegan for health reasons. He was vegan for his beliefs.
Okay.
But he didn't like vegetables. So what are you going to do? kind of
So
weird.
can you recap kind of the main program that we talk about here, the 20 grams of carbs, and then we can get into some questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what you eat, when you eat, how much you eat. So what is our program deal? How does it deal with that? Well, it primarily deals with what you eat, because that's one way of dealing with it. But we talk about the when you eat, don't eat at night, have an empty stomach when you go to bed. And of course, how much you eat, those are going to be the of course things. So the program deals with what you eat. And the way we've chosen to do this is to have a very low carbohydrate diet. So you're cutting out all the sugars and starches and all the stuff that induces insulin production so that you can get your insulin down. Because once you get your insulin down, you can start losing weight. And once you start losing weight, you can reverse this process. So the whole idea is to reverse the process. And we kick it off with what we call it, a ketogenic diet, a 20-gram carbohydrate diet. And it works very well. Many people have used it. And it's healthy, as long as you don't eat too much, because there's always that issue too. If some people, when they were doing the Atkins diet, they left out the vegetables, and they live on their bacon, sausage, cheese omelet in the morning with cream. They eat foods like that all day long. There's no carbohydrates in that, and they're not inducing a lot of insulin, but it's not necessarily a healthy diet. So when you're on this 20-gram carbohydrate diet, make sure you're getting, broccoli and vegetables, and have salads. Those are free. They're on the pro. You don't even have to count the calories in those things. There's a whole list of free foods in there that you can eat, and that's great. And so if you get a lot of that, and you have a whole bag of broccoli, you're going to get plenty of protein and everything you need.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by CinnaChroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking CinnaChroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated CinnaChroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With CinnaChroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those two together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using CinnaChroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get CinnaChroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, CinnaChroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. Excellent. All right. Leslie's cracking the whip and muted me there for a second. So no, all good. We're going to probably put that on our website. Speaking of our website, bartonwebinar.com, that is the place to go if you want to register to watch us live, or also find our YouTube channel and our Facebook page from bartonwebinar.com. And this is our 85th episode of this webinar. And so if you've, want to go back and watch other ones, Dr. Saunders every week is answering questions, and we have also on that page, we have our frequently asked questions on there. And then we also have links to our products that support the Diabetes Solution Kit. And in here, we talk about different supplements and natural remedies and things. So our goal is to help people to bring their blood sugar levels down into normal ranges by not by using medications, because medications for the most part are not treating the root cause, but getting to figure out, the root cause. And a lot of people have nutritional deficiencies. And so our top supplement is CinnaChroma. This is our blood sugar support formula. It's got cinnamon bark extract and chromium picolinate, vitamin D3, along with vitamin K2, selenium, and vanadium. And this is like a miracle worker. It seems like. I mean, honestly, it's not, but it hits those nutritional deficiencies. Most people are deficient in those things, and those things affect our blood sugar and our metabolism and able to function and thrive. So if you want to order any of our products, we have I think 8 different supplements listed on that page, but you can use the coupon code, and we'd love to have you save 25%. And when you buy our products, you're supporting our cause here to help reverse diabetes in, well, 10 million people's lives. That's my lifetime goal. Make a big dent in the world and help people to get type 2 taken care of. And so we'd love to have you, try our products. They come with a year guarantee. People love them. We have testimonials for all of them, and we'd love to have you save 25% by using the coupon code, which is webinar25. Enter that in when you're checking out, and you'll save 25% off our already on sale products. So thanks for supporting us in that. And yeah, well, let's get to some questions here. We've got quite a few coming in, and I'm going to ask the first one. So this is from our friend Chris, who is actually, so we recorded a testimonial video with Chris, and I believe that is on our YouTube page now. I think we have a couple different versions of them. One of them was close to 90 minutes long, where we got the whole story, which if you have the time, I highly recommend you watch that one. It's just amazing to hear him tell his story. He lost his leg last year and was on his deathbed, and his blood sugar was out of control. But he came back, and just the past few months, he's been able to get his blood sugar under control. And he is actually shark fishing in Florida right now with his grandkids. He sent me some pictures this morning. And so, I mean, his story is amazing, and we love Chris. And also, if you have a story that you want to share, we would love to hop on a Zoom call with you. And so just put in the chat, give us your email address if you want, and Leslie can set up a time through email with you to set that up. And we'd love to record your story as well, because we share these stories with people, and it encourages others, and it helps us on our mission to help other people to reverse type 2 and be able to live their best lives. So Chris is down shark fishing in Florida, and he had a question about edema, I believe it's called, and that is swelling in his leg. I believe he's having an issue with that as he's traveling. He said his blood sugars are, staying in the low 100s, like 120, I think, after he eats. So that's great. But he said as he travels south to Florida from Indiana, he's having some troubles with edema and wondering why that's happening and if there's anything he can do with that. So.
Well, the main reason for edema is in that kind of a case, when someone's traveling, sitting for a long period of time, you're not using your leg muscles. The leg muscles kind of squeeze, or not kind of, they actually squeeze the veins, and the veins have valves in it that let the blood come up, go up, but it can't come back down. So as you're squeezing the veins, there's no heart in your feet to push the blood up to your heart. So what's happening is you're because it's a low pressure system, then just the moving around. So what happens is when you're sitting for long periods of time is the arterial blood comes down, but the venous blood can't get back up to the heart very easily because you're not moving around and doing stuff. So the edema very often is from the what we call venous insufficiency or venous hypertension, where your veins have more pressure in them than they should, just from sitting for long periods. That would be the main reason for that. The best way around that is to get out of the car, stop at the rest stops every, hour or two or whatever, and get out and run around a little and get your circulation going, and then get back in and drive off. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it's very good to prevent something called DVT, deep venous thrombosis, because if you get clots in the legs from sitting for long periods, then those can go up into your lungs and block off the arteries and create a problem. So, and that mode with plane flights, that's a big thing. People flying in planes, they showed in one study that on a long flight of more than 8 hours, 10% of people on the plane had clots in their veins and didn't know it.
Wow.
They measured their levels.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. So get up and move and keep that blood pumping and flowing around. So good stuff. All right. Okay, Leslie, I'm going to turn things over to you, and you can start rattling off all these good questions we've got.
The star of the show.
That's right.
I'm back. All right, Deb, first of all, does not golf, but would like to take it up. So I would definitely encourage you to do it. I just think it's fun. You can do with so many different people of all ages, and it's just a fun sport. So, all right, Meg has a question. This is very interesting. So I have to understand whether diabetics, controlled or uncontrolled, can use an infrared sauna. I have a deadline for a group buy. It's a big investment. How would I determine if it's safe? You know, she's wondering if her blood sugars need to be a certain range. Is detoxing going to be too much? What phase of the program should I use it on? Any time limits, etc.
Okay, good. Thank you for asking. We had an infrared sauna in our office for a long time, many years ago, 15 years ago. And we used it often for things like detox, because it actually is the sweat is a good way to detox certain things and to equilibrate your body, your autonomic nervous system, to improve the function of your autonomic nervous system. And what a lot of people do is they'll do a cold therapy and then they'll go into a sauna, because the extremes of temperature help the nervous system to have a set point. So you find your good set point by having the contrast. So saunas are really good for several different things, and because of that, because it improves the circulation, I think if you have an infrared sauna, you can start out right away. And there isn't any problem with doing it on phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the program, or even before you start the program. Because one thing that the sweating does is to dilate blood vessels and improve circulation. And remember, a lot of the problems with diabetes are circulation. You know, you get neuropathy in your feet because of circulation. You get foot ulcers because of circulation. And the infrared sauna improves that. So that I would applaud that. That would be something that would be a good investment.
Okay, I'm just going to record the part where you said a good investment, because I got to send that to my husband. So, and Joe knows, I've had this conversation with him many times. Joe actually has an infrared sauna as well, and I'm a big fan. So enjoy that, Meg, if you decide to do it. How fun.
Yes. Highly recommend.
Okay. Let me see here. What is the correlation between having good gut health and type 2 diabetes? In what ways can I improve my gut health so that I can reverse my diabetes?
Oh, good question. Thank you. Yes, there is a correlation. Good gut health is related to diabetes in several different ways, one of which is inflammation. When you have the right kind of bacteria in your intestines and they're feeding on the right kind of food, you make certain substances that suppress inflammation in your body. They improve your brain function. They improve your blood vessel, your blood flow. So for all the reasons we were talking about the sauna, having good gut bacteria is an important part of getting well. So thank you for asking that. Now, the second part of your question is just as important, is what can I do? Okay. People they're popping probiotic pills and all that stuff. And that's fine, because if you think about probiotics, what is it? Well, it's stuff from the intestines, it's bacteria from the intestines. And when you have the right kind of bacteria growing in your intestines, then you have better gut health. So how do you get that good bacteria? Well, very often people have to take it. You think about like 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 1,000 years ago, people didn't have refrigeration, and everything they ate was full of probiotics. Think about it, that peas porridge in the pot, 9 days old. 9 days, that's a lot of probiotics growing in there, right? They're getting plenty of probiotics in everything they ate. Now we radiate things, we pasteurize things, we refrigerate everything, we freeze things, we sterilize things. You have that milk now that's sterilized. You can keep it on the shelf. You don't even have to put it in the refrigerator anymore. But all that sterilized stuff means we're not getting the probiotics that human beings used to get, years in their food all the time. So if you're eating things that are that are fermented, for example, they have probiotics in them, but you have to be careful. So everybody goes, "Oh, I eat yogurt." Well, most yogurt is pasteurized. So yeah, they make the yogurt, then they pasteurize it for good shelf life, because you get a twice the shelf life if you pasteurize it. So sometimes some of them will say with active cultures added. What that means is they'll make the yogurt, they'll pasteurize it, and then they'll put a little drop of probiotics in the top, so that it still has good shelf life with active cultures. So you have to be, careful with that. People are going, "Oh, I eat sauerkraut." Well, your sauerkraut's been bottled. Guess what? It's been heated, and all the bacteria are dead. So it's still dead food. So if you get the refrigerated sauerkraut that's fresh, and the refrigerated pickles that are fresh, and the yogurt that's actually, or kefir or kefir, or a lot of people I know are doing kombucha now, and that's all fine. So that's one thing. But remember this, the number one most important thing is what you feed is what you get. So feed them good stuff. We actually made at Barton Publishing, we went through, how are we going to do gut health? So we've made a gut health formula, and it has prebiotics, which is what the bacteria love. That's what they grow on. And the probiotics, and enzymes to aid in digestion. I've had a lot of people tell me that works really well, where they've been taking probiotics that haven't worked in the past. So feeding them, what do you feed them? Fruits, vegetables. Everything I was telling you just a few minutes ago about fiber, that feeds all the good bacteria. So a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, cut out the little bit of meat here and there is okay. And avoiding anything processed fats, processed carbohydrates. If those get into your intestines, they feed bad bacteria.
I was listening to a quick clip from Dr. Mark Hyman, and he said when he goes to a grocery store, he's looking for drugs. And then it paused for a little bit and everybody freaked out. And he said, but he's looking for food, and he sees food as drugs. They benefit your body. And so just a good mindset even to have when we're thinking about food, the impact that food makes on your body. So think of them like drugs that taste good. So you don't have to just swallow them, you get to eat it. So, okay. From Anonymous, Dr. Saunders mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the COVID vaccine has not been tested. I was very surprised to hear this. I know that the testing period was shortened because of the pandemic, but although shortened, I thought that some testing had been done. This is scary if no testing has been done.
Well, it depends on what you mean by testing. So the CDC did a quick test on a small group of people in December of 2020. But one of the things that I'm talking about, it hasn't been tested. Normally, vaccines are tested for long periods of time, for years, and they follow them over seasons, and they say, this works, this doesn't work. What are the antibody levels? What are the possible complications of it? What are we seeing over time? And yeah, the COVID vaccine just is an untested. And what really surprised me is that even when they're now testing it on humans, they're saying that just take the vaccine, and nobody's doing a study. There should be studies being done. We gave 1 million vaccines out, and this is what happened to this 1 million people. This many got this problem, this many got that, this many happened to that, but nobody's doing that. So it's still untested. And you know what? Guess what? I thought that they would exactly. It really surprised me too. I thought somebody would be doing, okay, we're going to follow these people over time. A cohort is called, and they're not doing it. It's not being done. So we won't even know, next year. It's going to be many years before we actually have any results of these tests. Just like the swine flu. When they did the swine flu, that my grandma got Guillain-Barré syndrome from it, and they hadn't done any testing. Same thing.
Very interesting. Okay. Krish is back. Good morning. I believe someone a week or two asked a question about the capsules made of fruits and further with veggies too. Since some fruits have a higher sugar content, I wonder about the sugar content in the capsules. Please respond from a sugar content perspective. This is important as I'm careful with what I eat when I am on CinnaChroma and Nervala. Thank you.
So the capsules of fruit?
It must not be our capsules.
What are the fruit capsules?
There's a company that has some that are fruit and veggies. People supplement with fruit and veggie capsules. So I'm assuming that's what Krish means.
Oh, that's right. We did. I remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about that. The fruit. What they do is they extract the juice out of it, like Juice Plus, and there's several other ones. They extract the juice out, and then they dehydrate it, and then they have a powder that's left, and so that has all the vitamins and minerals. And it does have some sugar in it, but you have to look at the sugar content on the bottle if you're using capsules, because it'll tell you how much carbs, how much sugars it contains in the bottle, because that would depend on which fruits they use. There's so many things that are so many variables in there that I couldn't really speak to that.
It's a good question.
Our capsules list like cellulose or microcrystalline cellulose, and let's see, gelatin in one, and let's see, hypromellose. I don't know what that is, so I can't remember anyways. Hypromellose. Do you know what that is? It sounds like some sort of a
it's a sugar. Yeah, it's a sugar. It's a fiber, non-digestible sugar.
So how much is in a capsule? Is it anything even potentially?
Oh, you mean the like the plastic, the capsule itself?
That you
the gelatin or the cellulose part? Yeah, no, it's minimal. That by itself is minimal, and those aren't digestible. Human beings don't digest cellulose.
Okay, so you pass
horses and cows do.
Okay, so it's okay then. Nothing to worry about.
No.
Good.
Okay, 2 questions from Gladys and John about why my numbers are higher in the morning. And we've talked about this. This is a very common question, but could you give us a quick overview? Otherwise, you can find this on bartonwebinar.com if you want to hear his response to that as well.
Yeah. So very often, if you have insulin resistance, then and you eat at night, then your blood sugar goes up and you have a higher response, a higher insulin response. But then your stomach gets empty because you're sleeping all night long. And when the stomach gets empty and you still have this relatively high amount of sugar or of insulin, then the sugar level starts dropping too low. And when the sugar starts getting low, your pancreas releases a different hormone called glucagon that tells your liver to make more sugar. So what you're seeing in the morning when you start doing that is what's coming out of the liver. The liver is actually doing what's called gluconeogenesis, making more sugar, and so that the brain and the the heart and the kidneys, so that they have sufficient amount, because they need a constant supply. They need that blood sugar to be at a certain level all the time. And so the blood sugar higher in the morning very often comes because of the empty stomach. You release glucagon. Glucagon tells your liver to make more sugar. So it by itself isn't a bad thing at all. And in fact, in some ways it's good, because it takes the excess sugar out of the liver. The liver is processing something called glycogen and taking it out. And then that leaves more room for decreasing insulin resistance. So by itself, it's not bad.
Okay. Brian is relatively new to these webinars and he is hooked. A few webinars back, Dr. Saunders mentioned that when you consume something sweet, your body will interpret it as sugar and release insulin. He was alluding to diet sodas, I believe, but does the body react similarly to sweet fruits?
Yeah, sweet fruits or anything. Yes. And not everybody does that. It's highly variable. Some people release more insulin than others with sweet things, with carbs, and with proteins too. I had one man who his diabetes was worse when he was on an Atkins diet, a high protein diet, that he had to completely switch to a low fat, low protein diet. So the answer is yes. As a rule, the taste of sweet causes the pancreas to put out more insulin, and and that's true in cows and other animals too. But it doesn't matter where that sweet comes from. Like with cows, for example, they use an artificial sweetener called neotame, which is highly toxic and isn't fit for human consumption. But they give it to them so that they release extra insulin and put on more fat just before they slaughter them. So that's a common thing.
Okay. Let's see. Patricia says, what do you think about fasting and how much is good? And I will tell you this. Sometimes I don't ask Dr. Saunders because I know he's going to say, you should fast. And I don't want that answer. So I know that he likes fasting, but I'll let him talk about that.
Okay. I do not like fasting. I hate fasting. Every time
that is true. We don't like it, but
so like, for example, this weekend I'm fasting and I just go, oh, darn, I hate this. So I don't think it's fun. Okay. So fasting, there's no bottom, there's no limit. You can fast as much as you want to, and usually look at it you fast until you get to your ideal body weight. And that's when I stopped. So I've done, I was doing a week-long fast with somebody, and after 4 days, I was down to my ideal body weight. So I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do anymore. But they kept going and did just fine. So the amount of fasting, if you fast for hours, like in terms of intermittent fasting, where you're going to fast for 12 or 18 hours a day, that's good. If you do days, that's good. If you do weeks, that's good. I had a guy who had severe heart disease who cured his heart disease in 1 month drinking water only. Literally every day, just water, no food at all for a whole month, 30 days. And then he repeated that again later. And like, this is a guy who couldn't walk across the room without chest pain. And then when he was done 30 days later, he's playing tennis, like a full game of tennis with no chest pain. So it depends on what your needs are and where you want to go with that. There was a guy in Scotland that stopped eating and fasted for a year and 18 days, and lost 300 pounds and cured his problem, and never gained it back when he started eating again, because he reset the whole system. Fasting resets your system. So yeah, I can't emphasize how good fasting is for you enough, but I think I don't do it enough either because I don't like it.
Okay, we have so many good questions. We're going to see how many we can get through. Question from Don. If you skip lunch and have an early dinner, what is the latest you should eat dinner to allow for the empty stomach when you go to bed?
Oh, yes. We like numbers, don't we? I don't know, but the studies are done with usually 6 o'clock. So, because it takes about 4 hours to empty the stomach. So by that time you should, but if you eat, the example I give, like if you eat a half a pizza and drink a pint of beer, that's going to take like 8 hours to empty out. So your stomach won't be empty. So what you eat is important there. If all you have is a salad and you eat 2 hours before bed at, 8 o'clock at night, then you'll be okay. So what you eat will depend, because the stomach empties according to calories. So if you eat fewer calories, it'll take a shorter time to empty.
All right. Marilyn says, which veggie has negative effects on type 2 diabetes? And then she has a list of 4: zucchini, bell pepper, peas, or kale.
Wow, none of those should have any effect, ill effects. I guess if you ate a lot of peas, they do have some starch in them. Kale should improve your diabetes, no matter how much you eat, but you can go overboard on kale too.
I think that was actually, so that was from an email that we sent out, which
that's what I wondered.
Yeah, it leads to a video talking about a program, but it's sort of a trick question, because I think the answer was kale, and there was something maybe in like a pesticide or something that could be on it or something like that. So, but I mean, if it's washed and all that, like.
Well, anything that you eat too much of is bad for you. Dr. Saunders talks about eating too much kale. That can be toxic. So
you've talked
kale
mix
can
your
be
veggies
toxic.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would olive oil be a good option for salad dressing, or what would you recommend?
Oh, olive oil is a great salad dressing, and usually, I used to put olive oil and vinegar on, and lately I've just been cutting a half a lemon and squeezing the lemon on, and that's all I put on it, and maybe some salt, but olive oil and just vinegar, because salad dressings are horrible. They're just, oh man, every single one, even the natural ones, I look at them, canola oil. Okay, fine.
All right. Oh, there's so many, guys. I'm going to run out of time here. Okay. Let's see. Where did I see this one? Mary says, is the keto diet good for you if you are diabetic and have been diagnosed with a fatty liver without drinking alcohol?
Actually, it could be really good, because if you're burning the fat, if you're not eating carbohydrates and you're burning the fat, that's one of the ways to get rid of the glycogen that's built up in the liver, and you burn off the fat from the liver as well, because most of that fat comes from a carbohydrate called fructose. But it could be from toxicity for other reasons. But yes, the ketogenic diet is good for fatty liver, and I have used it many times, and I have seen the fatty liver go away in my patients. Not me personally, my patients.
All right. Are you able to comment on the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, specifically on any possible side effects to your DNA, or possible effects on your DNA?
On your DNA. Okay, that is a big unknown, because it's an RNA that you're getting, and an RNA works outside the nucleus, and so theoretically it's not supposed to affect the DNA. But again, it's untested. How do we know if nobody's done tests on it?
All right. What do you think of drinking alkaline water? I own an alkaline machine and was wondering what your thoughts are on overall health, diabetes, autoimmune disease, etc. Okay,
so having the body more alkaline does prevent you from progressing to renal failure to some extent. It does slow down the progression or prevent. And several studies have been done to show that. So, but what we don't know is whether the alkaline water produces an alkaline body. That's one thing that I can't address, because the research is two separate things. One is alkaline water, and the other is alkaline blood. So your blood has to be just slightly alkaline the proper or perfect use of enzymes. Maybe the answer is maybe, but there was some research done with baking soda in water, which makes an alkaline water, that did show some prevention of kidney failure, and it does help enzymes in other ways too, like the energy production and all that. It's just that they had an end point of renal failure in people who already had chronic kidney disease. So that was what the research is done with. So yes, alkaline is important, but as to whether the water creates that or not, I don't know.
Okay. Do you need to leave, or can we answer one more question?
Answer another question.
All right.
Love the questions.
What about Slim Fast protein shakes that has a net 2 carbs?
Yeah, I know. Okay. So protein shakes are junk food, all of them. I don't know of any that aren't. I read labels everywhere I go, and I go, is this a good one? No, it's not. Okay, the proteins are processed, and the low carb just means they use some artificial sweeteners or something in there that cause the release of insulin. Their proteins also cause the release of insulin. If they're low fat, that's one thing. If they're not, then they often have fats that aren't very good. So, and either way you look at it, the types of carbohydrates, fat, and protein that you're getting are not healthy carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And yeah, they got a vitamin pill in them to make them look like they got a lot of vitamins, but take a vitamin pill and leave out those bad carbs and fats and proteins.
Okay. And final question. I lied before. There's one more question. How do you feel? Chris wants to know how you feel about eggplant. Is that safe for type 2 diabetics?
Eggplant's definitely safe. Yeah, eggplant is great as long as you don't have a problem with nightshades. Eggplant is fine.
Hello, today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Nervala. Now, Nervala is for people that have diabetic neuropathy, nerve pain, peripheral neuropathy, numbness, tingling, or anything like that related to nerve damage. Now, I named it Nervala because it's like nirvana for your nerves. And the number one ingredient in this is ALA, alpha-lipoic acid. The other ingredient is benfotiamine in this. So Dr. Saunders formulated this to help people to cool down their overheated nerves. And that's really what's going on. Inside your body, there's a lot of inflammation and overheating, and your nerves are just like stressed out to the max. And that's what happens when you've got too much sugar, too much blood sugar, erratic blood sugar. But Nervala helps with all of that. And people experience a lot of relief from Nervala, and we've heard a lot of thousands of people have bought this product, and we've gotten tons of feedback and positive testimonials from people that this works. You can get this today at bartonnutrition.com, and if you use the coupon code webinar25, you'll save an additional 25% off your purchase of Nervala. So I mentioned cooling down your nerves. That's right. What's going on in your nerves is there's just too much energy. And that's what happens when we have too much sugar in our body and we have insulin resistance and different things going on like that with our metabolism. So Nervala and the alpha-lipoic acid, it cools off your overheated nerve cells and all of that energy. And then the benfotiamine that's in there, it helps to run things more efficiently. And your nerves are so important in your body. And if you experience numbness, tingling, intense pain in your nerves and things like that, there's probably something wrong with the function. And I want you to give this a try. It comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee. You can try it for a month. You can try it for 3 months. You can try it for 6 months. You can try it for 11 and a half months, and then send back the empty bottles if you're not completely satisfied, and we'll give you a full refund of your purchase price. That's how confident we are that this is going to help you. So give it a try. Nervala, bartonnutrition.com. Use the coupon code webinar25. All right, let's get back to the webinar.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Saunders.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Take
have
care.
a good rest of your day. All right. Everyone else, if you want to stay on, I've got a question for you. So let's see, what episode was that? 31. We had Dana Cushing on, and she was talking nutrition and all sorts of good stuff about foods and eating. And so we've been talking about possibly adding a second webinar to the week, to have a weekly webinar with Dana. And she's great at showing people how to cook healthy foods and how to really eat like that low carb diet, I guess, but without sacrificing taste and flavor. And so if that is something you're interested in, if you think you would join us for another webinar during the week, let us know. I already got a yes from one person. Thank you, Brian. Deb says all over it. So, and if you have any thoughts about that or questions, put those in there right now. We're just doing a little impromptu. We'd love to get your feedback on it. What are some of the things that you struggle with during the week? I know some people have trouble with preparing meals, can get tedious, or like every day if you're cooking meals and stuff like that. She's really good at showing you how to meal prep ahead of time and like cook a whole week's worth in a couple hours. So yeah. And I guess that's the other thing we'll have to figure out is what day of the week and what time to do it. So that's something we'll have to talk with her about. But so it looks like good feedback and sounds like a go. So I think we're just the last thing we have to do is have her and Dr. Saunders talk and make sure that they're on the same page, because she's got a little bit of different philosophies on eating. Like she's not a big fan of the vegan diet, but I think Dr. Saunders is very flexible, as you guys have probably seen. So we would just love to be able to help you guys to learn how to cook good food. So if you want to check out episode 30, I think it's 31, right?
I'll look it up.
Okay, look that up. So you could get a little sneak peek of what that's going to be like. So excited to have Dana join us once a week. I don't think Dr. Saunders would be on that call, but she would be great at answering questions. And she actually has her own wellness coaching program as well. And we would be very supportive of that as well. So it'd be sort of a synergistic thing that we would do together. But we feel like that would be beneficial. We can go through some of the recipes. We might pick a recipe each week to have her cook in the kitchen and talk about it as she's doing it. So, and add some new ones as well to it. So, okay. Well, sounds like people are excited about that, which I figured they would be. That's great. And I guess we'll sign off. And one last thing is visit that bartonwebinar.com. And if you are, looking for resources, that is the page to go to. That links you to our YouTube page, which has all the previous webinar recordings. Sign up for that webinar if you haven't already. And the supplements, we have a lot of different products that help people with blood sugar. And I heard Kevin. I think
I got the webinar. It was 41 or 42.
42. Okay.
I'll post it here really quick.
All right, cool. Episode 42. If you find our YouTube channel, you can see that the one we did with Dana. I think Dr. Saunders was gone that week or something. So, all right, good stuff. So yeah, bartonwebinar.com. You can get a hold of any of our supplements that support type 2 nutrition. We have that healthy gut support. We talked about gut health today. We have iodine, which is really important for people that aren't eating much seafood, especially women. Magnesium spray is one of my all-time favorites. You just spray it on the skin and your body absorbs it, and it's helpful in over 300 different functions. And so, yeah, check that out. Use webinar 25 as your coupon code and save 25%. That helps us to know that people are buying our products from the webinar, and we love to help you get a discount as well. So, but we appreciate your supporting us. And so we're going to sign off here. Thanks everybody for joining us. Always good to be with you. One of these days, we're going to just have to do a big old group Zoom video where we can see everybody together and have kind of like a little online camp meeting or something. Maybe sing Kumbaya together and celebrate some wins. I don't know, but well, that's another thing. So we kind of talked about, we're putting together a retreat where we're going to have people that can afford it and want to spend a week together with Dr. Saunders and us. We're going to have like a great time, rent out a great facility and eat healthy the whole time. Get to know each other, do some good stretching and exercising and like live like an ideal week and just watch what can happen when you live according to the right rules. And so it'd be kind of like shooting the perfect round of golf. So I'm going to wrap it all back up to golf. I started with golf today because the Masters is starting today, but like imagine shooting like, 18 under par. I mean, that'd be like what our retreat's going to be. So getting together and eating healthy, learning how to cook together, sharing life, and experiencing great health. So we'll let you know more about that I guess we have to plan it, right? So it'll take a little bit of work. But anyways, always good. And thanks for joining us. Leslie, thanks for manning the controls. Star of the show, as always. Appreciate you and all your work. Say hi to Tyler for us. Tyler's in the back. He's our affiliate manager and other good stuff for us. So we love the Prinz family. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. God bless. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.